Naomi Prieto. I'm the manager of engineering design for Arizona Public Service, and we're going to talk a little bit about where we are on the road to AUD. We're currently using AutoCAD and OCalc for our distribution design, and PLS CAD for our transmission design. So for the last 2 years, we've been working on our build and really actively working on the project. This really started back in, Mr. Bott back there was saying 2008, 2009, stopped. For the last 2 years, we've finally gotten on it. We've had a few pauses due to some funding, but for the most part, we're completed with our build and looking to deploy next year, train and deploy March of next year. We've got 200 users that we're going to be deploying with, and because we're upgrading our work management and asset management systems together, we're doing a lot in the change management space. So I know Hydro One and a few others have recently done it. So I keep meaning to come and talk to you guys. We do want to talk about that. It sounds like you guys had a very successful rollout. I've heard a lot just being in here that you don't want to do those two together. You don't want to do both of them. Unfortunately, that's where we are, and it's going to be a lot for our teams. But we're really looking forward to bringing AUD to our company and really seeing some of the numbers. SCE has shared a ton, but it's good to see how many designs they've been able to produce and how much efficiency has been gained. So we're pretty excited about that. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Justin. And I am the AUD sponsor for our company, and Justin is the AUD lead. So he's the one doing the real work.
So where we're at currently with our deployment is we're actually finishing up SIT. We're actually hoping to be done with that this week by Friday, and getting ready to enter UAT, which will start in a couple weeks after that. So really getting down to the meat of it, getting through the testing, getting ready to get into training. As Naomi mentioned, we're planning to start our training / deployment in March. We've planned 14 weeks of training. We're going to do 15 people at a time for 4 days to get everybody trained up. And as soon as they're done through that training, they're going to have live access to production and start doing it. To kind of help with the transition in that window, what we're going to do is we're going to give a 2-month window for those users to have AutoCAD access still. And then we're going to remove AutoCAD, kind of forcing everybody in a way to utilize AUD and to really get into it and realize the benefits that it brings. So we are integrating with Maximo, which we're in the process of upgrading, along with all of our CU structure. So that's made things some fun. We're integrating with GIS, which we are in the process of conflating as well. So we're almost done with that to make sure that we have all of our data from GIS in real world locations ready to go for our import and for the exports, making it much more usable and user-friendly data. So our service territory for APS covers a lot of the state of Arizona from all different kinds of climates. So we do everything from sand-based stuff down in the southern half of the state that's hot, dry climates, all the way up to high mountain stuff up in the north, and everything in between. And so we're rolling out into our distribution world, which is in all of those climates that we've had to really account for. And so we're allowing our CUs to kind of dictate what a lot of that looks like based upon those areas. And so within those areas, we're doing everything from single phase residential extensions, subdivisions, to large commercial projects. We've got a mixture of everything going right across the state. We are split between underground and overhead, so just depending upon where you're at, if you're out in the state region areas, it's mostly overhead, but in the metro areas, it's mostly underground. So kind of depending upon where you're at, dictates how you're going to be using the tool. So a lot of the things that we were looking for as we started looking towards AUD was really looking for design standardization and consistency. We have about 20 different departments across the state that are all doing distribution design, and most of them are doing it differently. And so we were looking to really bring that together and create one team for design within our distribution world. And so that's how we're building AUD, is to follow our design and construction standards and working with letting those teams work within those boundaries while still having the flexibility to utilize other things that we have to do because of the different climates and different things, but really pushing for that standardization. The automation was another big piece of it. So when we do design today, we're utilizing a lot of spreadsheets for engineering calculations. We're using Pole Planner for underground pulling calculations, OCalc for things. We're just kind of all over the place when we're in design. And so people are working in AutoCAD, then they're bouncing over here, then they're bouncing over here. The automation is allowing us to really let them just focus in AUD. They don't have to bounce around anymore because all that automation is working behind the scenes, doing all those calculations for them as they're doing their design. Really allowing the designers to focus on design versus all the support documentation and things they have to do. So we've taken all those spreadsheets and all those different programs and built that all into AUD, really giving us a much more accurate design and better information going into GIS, which is also utilized as we utilize Playback Manager, going to allow us to have more up-to-date information in GIS much quicker. So the mappers will no longer have to manually redraw in GIS. They'll be able to take the information, make a few tweaks to it, and publish it. So much quicker, much easier, helping our operations folks be able to know what our system really looks like much, much sooner. So that's where we're at and what we're doing. I'll open it up for any questions you guys got.
I will add, from just like a company perspective, we're about 1.4 million customers, and our service territory has experienced a ton of growth. So Maricopa County, which is metro for Arizona, has had, I think they were like the fastest growing county. They were like #1 for at least most of last year. I think continued on to this year. We've seen a lot of new residential customers, but a lot of commercial. I think a lot of you guys have heard of TSMC or Taiwan Semiconductor. They have established themselves in our service territory. They've got one fabrication unit up and running, getting a few more, but it's brought, from an economic standpoint, it's brought a ton of jobs into the valley. And then we also have a lot of distribution warehouses that are being built in our metro, but a little bit rural areas. So with that, efficiencies, we still have the same amount of people. We're leveraging, obviously, our contractors. Some of them are here today, but it's just been, it's been a lot to take on. And we're pretty excited about this because it's going to, just seeing the numbers and what some of the attributes that are going to be brought in, especially with the automation and the standardization, is going to help us a ton with our workload.